My name's Dave Dubeau, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey folks, welcome back. Chances are, if you've been into real estate investing for any length of time, you've had the temptation to look at deals in all sorts of different areas and different asset classes, because everything, we tend to have shiny object syndrome. So everything looks good and we want to try this and we want to try that. However, that's not always the best idea. And today's special guest, zooming in from beautiful Marshall, Minnesota, we've got John Rickgarn, who is an experienced real estate investor who's kind of wants to share an important lesson, which is, don't go wide, go deep first when it comes to real estate investing. So John, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave. Pleasure to be here.
So why don't we start off? Give us a little snapshot overview of what your real estate investing looks like right now. Like what are you involved in? What are you focusing on? What does real estate look like for you?
I'd say real estate investing for me kind of is, I'd almost say three pillars. One, I still have some that I own personally, but I've actually scaled back my portfolio. Two, have gotten into a few syndications. Actually, on one syndication is a self-storage unit, actually out in Oregon. And then also kind of a third one that I don't think gets as much, credence or light shine out, so to speak, is being kind of the lender, like with trust deeds or promissory notes, where you can kind of be the bank of, ignore the toilets, termites, tenants, everything, and just get that predictable cash flow. So I'd say those are kind of the three things I've been concentrating on.
Okay, so with the active real estate investing, the portfolio side of things, what kind of properties are you invested in or have you invested in the past?
Sure. I have invested in a number of markets. I did have a single family home in Memphis, Tennessee. We actually sold that for a nice profit last year. And it was just getting market too hot, just couldn't get as good of a deals as I liked. Still very much in Birmingham, Alabama, and I foresee that for quite some time. Got one VRBO / our vacation home in Arizona. In the process of actually exiting out of Iowa. At the time of this recording, we're actually looking to close by the end of the month. And even though it's my home state, I actually have sold my two investment properties in Minnesota.
Very, very, very cool. All right. So tell me a little bit about this lesson of going deeper before you go wide. Like what do you mean by that? And why have you come to this realization?
Sure. Yeah, I think, you mentioned at the top of the podcast, the shiny object syndrome or, squirrel, where everything looks good. And I have always been one to diversify to some degree. And I do think there is a lot of good things with that. My backstory initially, don't ask me why, it was just kind of a number out there. I wanted to be invested in 10 states. Now, don't ask me why. It was just kind of diversification across markets, whatever. And when you start getting a little too stretched out, multiple properties, different loans, multiple property managers, there's only so much you can focus on at once. And if you're constantly kind of shifting your focus, I got to talk to this manager, I got to talk to this manager, I got to refocus on this. Then you kind of take your eye off the ball of one area that might start to suffer, which I dealt with firsthand. And if you can really just kind of get a really good deep foothold, especially for any real estate investors, if they're looking at, I really like this market or I like my home market, really dive in deep and stick with one primary focus, one market. Again, diversification is great, but really dive in deep and then go out a little wider. Don't do what I did I got into 5 states, wanted to push to 10, and now we're actually rolling back to 3. So,
and roll back to 3 and probably want to focus on one eventually.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, John. I just interviewed someone today, big time syndicator, and she and her husband have 7,200 rental units in their portfolio.
Wow.
Um, and they are almost all focused in their home state of Texas. And that's
Wow.
really what they've just lasered in on, is just let's keep it local. Now they happen to be in a very good market, but hey,
Sure.
that's part of the reason they live there, sort of thing. But yeah, so a lot to be said for that. That's for sure. But I do understand that shiny object idea and the
Yeah.
diversification idea as well. So, okay. Now, moving ahead, now that you've come to this realization, where do you see yourself taking your real estate investing moving forward in the next 12 to 24 months?
Sure. Yeah, I'd say the next 12 to 24 months, really focusing. Like I said, we still have our VRBO in Arizona, really probably trying to concentrate a little bit more on that, trying to get that filled up a little bit more throughout the year. And then I don't want to say going all in, but really concentrating on the Birmingham, Alabama market. I look back, it's like, okay, in the 8 years since I started real estate investing, had the best luck there. Why not just, keep concentrating on there? But then also look at some more of the passive opportunities as well. Very much like be in the bank, so to speak, private lending, promissory notes, a lot less headaches. And like even just a month and a half ago, sold one of our properties, didn't even have it on the market, but we got an offer we couldn't refuse. Gave us full ask price, 8% note on it. So it was kind of hard to turn down. So it's like, I don't have to worry about property
Well, yeah,
taxes.
so
I don't
you,
have to
you
worry
still
about
you kind of
maintenance.
still got it. You just don't have
Yeah,
you don't have the day-to-day hassles with it.
exactly. So it's like, well, it'd be stupid to turn this down. And yeah, like you said, less hassle, less headaches, and kind of back to the, go wide, get too stretched out. No, focus on one area, one segment, one market, and really kind of drill down there, because it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when something's gonna throw a monkey wrench in the in the machine and cause you to have issues.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of experience working with property management out of state,
Mhm.
specifically property management that works with single family homes. What have been some of your big takeaways from those experiences, John?
I'd say my biggest takeaway, and from talking to other investors as well, yes, it's more expensive. Yes, it's more time consuming, but actually go there, visit with them, talk to other investors that have worked with them. I mean, really, really, really do your deep due diligence. I mean, every property manager is going to say, yeah, we're the best. Yeah, we're, the greatest, et cetera, et cetera. But it's actually go there and get a feel for it. Sometimes trust your gut, and on top of that, and I can speak from experiences too, even if you find the best property management company, oh, this is great. I love this market. They're great. They're BBB accredited, whatever. Always have a plan B. Always have a backup property manager that if things go south or something changes, okay, then you're not scrambling. You can move from property management A to property management B.
Sounds like that comes from some very personal, painful
Yeah.
experience. Do you mind sharing a
With
story around that?
I'll get the highlights. I actually ran a podcast myself for 2 years, and then just with everything in my life, I put that on hold. I actually did a whole podcast episode on this, but the very highlights: bought it within 2 months, fired the property management company. They just weren't, responding, addressing issues,
No, did
whatnot.
you get them with the property? Like,
Yep, I inherited
yeah,
them with the property, which is
got
like,
it.
well, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Second one, they took it over, sent them with some bills and return of the units about $5,500. The day after, they sent an email that their trust funds have been compromised, and then they ended up going into bankruptcy. So then I actually had to scramble, reached out to some people, went to a plan C, which I never had. And
Jeez.
with all the other issues I've had with this market, and like I said, the property management company, next month it'll be 2 years that I filled out the bankruptcy court claim, but it's still going through the courts to see what I end up getting out of that. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I think that's good advice to go meet the people eyeball to eyeball, kind of get a feeling. You got to be careful with references because obviously they're going to give you the best,
right,
happiest customers they ever
yeah.
could. Yeah. So any thoughts around that? Like, how can you really scrape below the surface and really find out what the hell's going on?
I've always found, two things. One, it's amazing what a Google search or even like a search on LinkedIn or Reddit or whatnot, going there. But even if you start to go down, pretty much every county out there in the United States has online access for property records. Dive a little bit deeper, see who's on the property, see who manages these properties, find out, oh, yeah, we get managed by so and so. It's like, okay, fine, find out who the owner is. I mean, yes, it takes more time. Yes, it's not easy, but the more due diligence you can do, the better you're going to end up in the long run.
Yeah, very cool. So, John, as one podcaster to another, it sounds like you ran your show for a couple of years. When it comes to podcasting, what do you like about it? Why did you start with it? What's your goal behind your show?
So I started more of, as I always kind of put it, if I could put myself on a time machine and talk to myself 10 years ago, do this, don't do this.
Slap.
Yeah, exactly. And then could kind of skyrocket myself farther ahead than I am now. It's like, well, anyone, Gen Z is not going to know this reference, but my DeLorean is unfortunately in the shop. So I can't do that. So if I could educate others that are maybe just getting started or maybe thinking about, and I'm just going to say investing in general, but not sure where to start, then it was kind of more of a, hey, no sales pitch, no, $9.99 program or anything like that. It's like, this is purely for educational pieces. With that being said, I really like the networking piece of it. Had some relatively big names on my podcast from David McKnight. You can Google him, Power of the Zero, and the Libertarian vice president candidate for 2020. Actually, I had him on my podcast as well. So.
Yeah, it's amazing who you can attract on your show. And speaking of DeLoreans, I just saw one driving down the street here in my small town Kamloops last week. That was a triple take DeLorean. I haven't seen a real DeLorean for decades, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And for the young folks, most of our listeners know exactly what the hell a DeLorean is. I don't think I'm attracting too many Generation Zs or whatever the hell they call
Sure.
them. Yeah, this is a Back to the Future reference there, folks.
Exactly. One of my favorite movies. So
yeah, it's a good one. So, hey, John, if people want to check you out, connect with you, find out more about your podcast or what have you, where should they go?
Sure. Well, I always joke around. Feel free to Google me. There's only 3 Rickgarns on the entire planet, so I'm not hard to find. That being said, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and then you can go to the wealthandfreedomnexus.com. That goes to all my resources, podcast, blog. Like I said, I put a lot of that on ice the last 7-8 months, just with everything else going on. But a lot of the content I have there is quote unquote evergreen, where it's still relevant today, tomorrow.
And who knows, by the time this comes out, you might have restarted again. So
maybe, yeah, we'll see what the future holds.
Awesome, Rick. Awesome. John, thank you very much for sharing your insights. This has been fun.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you on the next episode. Hey there. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.